Over the last 10 years, I've spent just over $150,000 on coaches, courses, gurus, programs, you name it. And what I'm going to share with you today is what I've learned about growing an online coaching, education consulting, or course creation business. And I've created 3 types of those over the last 5 years. And I've created an in-person business 5 years prior to that. And I want to potentially save you thousands and thousands of pounds that you could potentially invest into these gurus online, if not tens of thousands, by talking about the kind of pitfalls and the findings and everything that I've discovered from spending all of that money. And just to give you a little brief background story of me is that back in 2015, I quit my job as a teacher, teaching fitness qualifications. And prior to that, I was a personal trainer. And I said personal training wasn't for me. There wasn't enough money in it. I couldn't make a living, you know, the whole blaming and complaining and victimise myself through circumstances or the mindset that I had at the current time. So I'm going to go and get a job. And I got that job for 2 years. And I realised that I'd become a bit of a hypocrite because I was teaching all these students these personal training qualifications and telling them about how if they stick to the program, if they listen, if they learn, if they follow through, that they will be able to create a business and an income to work with who they want, where they want, when they want, and what they want. And then I would tell them this and pester them to get their work done. And then when they went home, I would spend 2 hours marking papers and the next hour and a half getting a train home, thinking, when did I sell out on my dreams? So I started my journey in 2015 to become an entrepreneur. So I hired my first business coach. I dropped 5K for a 90-day program, and that first business coach taught me pretty much everything at a base foundational level, up until even today in 2025, the basics of sales and marketing. How to create offers, how to create funnels, how to create content, how to create Facebook ads and meta ads and things like that, and basically how to create an ascension model and a back-end engine so that your business runs smooth and operates and creates kind of a conveyor belt of leads and clients that will come into your business. And just to let you know, this isn't going to be one of those videos where I'm dropping a load of free game and sauce on the latest marketing and sales tactics and everything else, because the one thing that I'm going to share with you that's going to impact you the most is that over the last 10 years of learning about sales, marketing, mindset, is that everything works. Every tactic, every system, every program, every guru's methods is going to work. And yes, there are a small few charlatans out there, people that overpromise and underdeliver, that scam, that sell you the dream of this life that they're having and it's all rented, for example. And we kind of know who those people are, right? But what I've learned over the last 10 years is that I've had one great mentor that taught me the main parts about marketing. I had a really great mentor that taught me the art of selling without selling, the art of persuasion, and the final one that taught me a lot about mindset. And for the most of the time, I was chasing shiny objects. I had this addiction to finding the next thing, the next hack. And it was because I wanted to find a shortcut. I wanted to speed up the process. And I lacked consistency. I lacked discipline. I lacked focus, and I lacked emotional regulation. I wasn't able to manage my emotions. And what this did is it started to create feast and famine with my businesses. And over the last 5 years in particular, I've created 3 online businesses, 2 to 6 figures a year and 1 to multiple 6 figures, which is what I focus on now with my lovely wife. We're actually out on a walk at the moment. We live in Crete in the Mediterranean. And the biggest lesson that I've learned from all of this is that everything works. And if you're someone right now that's spent a significant amount of money on coaches, courses, gurus and everything else, you will notice common trends, right? They'll market you and sell you into their programs by talking about their top tier clients. Like, for example, I have a client, Alex, and in my coaching program, we've taken his business from 12 to 14K a month to $70,000 to $80,000 a month cash collected. I also have a client, and I won't mention names, that's struggling around about the 2 to 2.5K mark. Then I've got a bunch of clients, about 30 of them, that float in between 10 to 15K. And then I've got another few amount of clients that are making 30K or more in their business. And if you are a smart marketer, if you are someone that wants to sell people the dream, if you want to get more people to buy your services and get more attention, then of course me being honest and transparent with you, I'm going to show you my highest winning clients, right? My best performing. The same when I ran my 2 online fitness businesses. I ran one for men and one for women. And there was a small amount of my clients at the top that pretty much coached themselves, that were pretty much bringing an apple to the Zoom calls every single day, right? That checked in on time, that did everything right, that followed the process pretty much 100%, and they got an outstanding transformation. And obviously I would showcase them as a testimonial. I wouldn't be talking about the losses online, because then my program would look like it's failing. And one thing I want you to understand is that this happens in all areas of life, because you may have joined programs in the past and you got lured in by people making 100K a month or whatever it may be. You want to make more money online, you want to get a better body, whatever it is. And if you want to boost your coaching business or your education business or your online business right now, you're going to be looking at that as an indicator of trust, right? Because they're getting results in their program. However, you've joined these programs, because I used to be one of them, right? You've joined these programs and you haven't shown up enough. You haven't gone all in. You haven't trusted yourself. You've had some limiting beliefs, some shitty internal dialogues that are holding you back from going all in. And you get a subpar to mediocre result. And then you then compare yourself to everyone else in the program, the ones that are doing really well. And then you start to then blame the program, you blame the market, you blame the economy or whatever it may be. And then what you do is you quit. You quit the program and you say that method didn't work for me. And then what you do is you find the next method, the next hack. You're like, oh, I tried email marketing, that didn't work for me. So now I'm going to try organic marketing, like content. You try the content, that doesn't work for you. You then join a program to learn paid ads. You do the paid ads, that didn't work for you, meaning that you've kind of reached that ceiling of income and then dropped again. You're in that feast and famine. And then you're kind of scraping the barrel, and then you create this paradigm and this lens that you view coaching and courses and marketing and pretty much your success through this lens that's very pessimistic, that's very defeated. And you're saying to yourself, like, it's just not going to happen for me. Nothing works out there. And instead of working on you, instead of figuring out why you're not showing up, instead of figuring out why you're not able to implement consistently and stay disciplined and focused, you either stay stuck and don't invest into another coach or program, or you continue to stay the same and blame the market and the gurus. And I was doing this for a very long time. And over the last 3 years, I've gone from doing B2C with my online business, business to consumer, to B2B. I actually help with my program, the Leadership Lab, coaches, consultants, educators and course creators build a freedom business, whether that's making your next 7 to 10K a month or your next 70 to 80K a month, by teaching you how to create client acquisition systems. And not only that, but become the 2.0 version of you that is able to implement it consistently and have the beliefs and the character and the identity of the version of you in the future that you dream and romance and fantasize about, that already has it all. And this leads me on to my biggest discovery over the last 10 years. From investing 150K in the courses, gurus, is that number one, everything works. Like, you can make 100 grand a month from just email marketing. You can make 100 grand a month from just posting content and posting 2 steps and then delivering value in the DMs. You can make 100 grand a month if you just want to just get you and a team of setters to send cold messages and cold DMs and cold emails to book calls. Like, it all works. It really does. You can run paid ads. But what happens is we don't give it enough time. What happens is that we have like energy and life problems. Because as I said before, you focus on these people that are winning at the top. You compare yourself to them, but you don't realize it's just part of the game of life. And if you already had the beliefs, the skills, and the character traits, like the self-image, the identity, the habits and the standards of the version of yourself that already is making the income that you want to make with your online business, you would already be making it, right? And that was my biggest win, my biggest lesson, also my biggest slap in the face over the last 10 years, when someone told me this about 4 years ago. And that's where I realized I could have saved tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in coaches and courses, because I lacked discipline, I lacked focus, I lacked stickability, I lacked consistency. I lacked emotional management. I lacked the emotional intelligence to test and iterate the process so that I was able to work smarter rather than harder. I was just addicted to the shiny objects and the stimuli. I was addicted to the new thing, the new hack, rather than getting addicted to the fundamentals. Just going to get the thumbnail there. And yeah, I wasn't getting addicted to the fundamentals. The fundamentals of like, why did that post slap so hard? Why did that email get such a high open rate? Why did that offer I put out get such a high intake? Why did that story get a lot of poll votes? Why did this video that I'm putting out today get a lot of engagement? Why is the click-through rate high enough? And getting addicted to those fundamentals, but it takes a certain type of person to do that consistently. It takes a certain type of person to be able to manage their emotions, their data, their time, and their energy and their focus to implement this. So after 10 years of investing all of this money into coaches, programs, courses, and gurus, I realised that it comes down to your identity. And it comes down to something called the bell curve. You may have heard of the bell curve, right? So if I was going to get an X, Y axis and I was going to draw a bell like this, like a curve. So it's got like a little hump here, a big hump and a little hump, right? Like a bell, okay? That represents this small part, 10% of the market or of the population. This one on the right here, the little one, represents the other 10% of the population. And the big one in the middle represents the 80%. And if you think about it, like when you was at school, about 10% of the students, you may have been one of these, they were the boffins, the nerds, the geeks, the really smart, intelligent ones that got like A grades every single time. And then you had the other 10%, which were like the kids that were told that were stupid or slow learners or whatever it may be, right? And you may have been one of them as well, right? And then you had the 80% in the middle. And these were the students that are either slowly going to get lost in the system, lost with the teachers and everything else. Just picking up my daughter's toy. She keeps dropping everything. And yeah, so they were either going to go slower and slower down and their grades were going to go slower, or the teacher, the students or the parents were going to work on them so that they could slowly go back up to being more of a, you know, an A or a B or a C student. And it's exactly the same with business. It's exactly the same with coaching programs, exactly the same with the market. So inside of my coaching program, let's just say I've got 100 clients. So out of those 100 clients, 10 of those are pretty much going to coach themselves. So let's say with my old fitness business. So my old fitness business, the Busy Man's Fitness Club. So 10%, so there's going to be 10 of those guys. They're pretty much coaching themselves. They're just doing the work. They just wanted a little bit of accountability and maybe to invest into something so that they put a bit of skin in the game. I rarely have to check in with them. They check in with me every single day. I rarely have to nag them for results and testimonials or their tracking sheets for their nutrition and their exercise, because they just do it automatically. They're pretty much following it 90 to 99% of the time. And at the end of that 90 or 180 day period, they get a world-class result. And then we've got the other 10%. Right at the bottom. So that other 10% are the ones that are the lurkers, that don't check in, that don't follow the system, that blame and complain, that moan about everything. They have stories, they have excuses. Sorry, I'm just picking up stuff my daughter's dropping. They have stories, if you don't mind, my love. I didn't notice. They have stories, they have excuses. They are victims of their circumstances rather than becoming the victors of their circumstances. And they don't get a great result. And then you've got the other 80 men in the program that are either moving towards getting a pretty mediocre result or towards a world-class one. And this is where the coaching comes in. But it's not the coaching on the process, as in this is the nutrition, this is the exercise. It's the coaching on their ability to adhere to it, which is the way that they deal with challenges. It's their life and energy problems that they have. It's their current paradigms, their current identity, their current belief systems around health, around exercise, around movement, around nutrition, around sleep, around rest, around recovery. It's an identity. Because when you have a certain identity, you have a certain set of standards. And those certain set of standards lead to a certain set of habits. And those certain set of habits lead to you taking certain actions, which are usually automatic on a daily basis. Like, for example, I have a daughter. I don't have to motivate myself to feed her on a daily basis. It's a standard. I have a dog. I don't have to motivate myself to take him for a walk or feed him. It's just a standard. I have teeth. I don't have to motivate myself to brush them daily. It's just a standard. And some people have certain standards that are attached to their certain identity. And when you have a coaching business, or when you join a coaching program to improve your income, to build an online coaching, education, consulting business, whatever it may be, it is 95% a personal development journey. What I have learned over the years is that you should not chase the money outcome, the business outcome, the freedom outcome, the next step and level outcome that you've invested into. You should solely chase the character and identity that you need to start creating. The parts of you that you have to starve off and kill, and the parts of yourself that you need to feed with new habits and new perspective and new eyeballs on a daily basis to become the 2.0 version of you that is capable of having it all. Because as my mentor said to me about 4 years ago, Russell, if you had the belief, skills and character traits of the version of you that makes the money that you want, has the freedom that you want, you would already have it, right? And last year in November, I moved me, my wife, and my 3-month-old daughter at the time from the UK, where we didn't want to live, to the beautiful Mediterranean. We live in the island of Crete, where you can see here now, the island of Crete is absolutely beautiful. And we have a freedom business. We earn enough money to live the life we want, to spend the time with the people we want on our own terms. And it wasn't down to any funnel, any system, any hack, any ad strategy or anything like that whatsoever, because all of it works. I could have picked 10 years ago any strategy and stuck to it for the next 10 years. You can pick any strategy right now and just stick to it. Whether it's email marketing, whether it's content to running ads, or whether it's running ads to your content, whether it's you doing dances on TikTok, whether it's affiliate marketing, it doesn't matter. But you have to have the identity and the belief systems. You need to change your current relationship with the work, with the client acquisition, with the messaging, with the funnels, and get addicted to the fundamentals. Because let's face it, if you already had that identity and those beliefs, you'd already be doing it, right? And this is where you have to start studying in yourself and auditing yourself and questioning yourself on a daily basis. Like, what are my core beliefs about myself? Do I believe that I'm worthy of having this life? Do I believe that the money is out there? Do I believe that people will pay me for my services? What is my relationship like with sending messages? What is my relationship and lens that I view sales through? Do I think sales is pushy? Good morning. Do I think sales is pushy? Do I have this imposter syndrome that I label myself with? Am I labeling myself as a perfectionist? Because we have loads of ways of putting up resistance from doing the work because we feel like we need to learn it all and we don't have enough information. Or we're a perfectionist, which is really just masking insecurity. Or we are procrastinating, which is a form and an ugly cousin of self-sabotage. Maybe it's because you've been letting yourself down so many times by not following through and being consistent that you've lost that self-trust. You've broken that bond with yourself. And this is what you need to start looking at from today. Start auditing your current beliefs, your current standards, your current habits, your current traits, your current self-image, and say, are they actually in alignment with the outcomes that I want to create? Are they in alignment with the freedom I want to create? Are they in alignment with the income that I want to create? And if they're not, fantastic. Because with every breath you take is a chance to start again. Every day that you wake up and you open your eyes, you can start creating a new plan and start reinventing you, the version of you, so that you can become the 2.0 version that has it all. So I know I haven't dropped a load of game on, marketing, sales and all that, because it's all out there for free anyway, and I've got videos on it on my channel if you want to check it out. But I'd love to hear what your biggest takeaway or your kind of aha light bulb moment's been from this video. And if you'd like me to go deeper on any of the others, or you have any other questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.